This edition of The Right Stand, the top focus: how a major train accident was averted in Kanpur and a bid to derail Bharat. This entire plot foiled, unearthed. Is it a pattern, ladies and gentlemen? A gas cylinder placed on the track where Kalindi Express was coming. We'll get you the details in a bit. Our continuing coverage on Manipur. Protests in Imphal West against fresh violence. Security forces had to resort to open, firing, tear gas shells, and of course use of force, and matters went out of hand. Have the forces underestimated the scale of weaponization in the state? Rising tensions have added to the centre's concerns. What does the centre plan to do to check this violence? We decode tonight on The Right Stand. Even as attacks on Hindus continue, the Bangladesh government is giving absolute free run to radicals. We have accessed clinching video evidence on The Right Stand with recent remarks by Mohammed Yunus, the acting leader of this entire temporary regime, calling the attacks exaggerated. It's turning out that the radicals are nothing but arguably state-sponsored. And Bharat readies for unified theatre command. Will this lead to better defence posture? Big question, and we'll have our guest break it down for us in just a bit. But first, the big story, and it is the alertness and sharp focus of the locomotive pilot of the Bhiwani-Prayagraj Kalindi Express that averted a major train accident as the train was brought to a screeching halt after hitting an LPG cylinder. It was placed on the tracks in Kanpur. A bottle of petrol and matchboxes were also recovered from the site, hinting at a deliberate attempt at sabotage. That's what the cops have said. The loco pilot spotted the LPG cylinder on the tracks and applied emergency brakes. The train, despite being in speed, came to a halt, but it did knock the cylinder off. But thankfully, no great damage was done. According to the cops, the incident occurred around 8:20 p.m. on Sunday. The train was running at very high speed. Remember, here on The Right Stand, we had exposed terror mastermind Faratullah Ghori's message to sleeper cells on targeting railways and railway tracks. Bharat's growth engine and perhaps the beacon in terms of connectivity and the advancements that we are getting, and somewhere cause mayhem and social strife by trying to derail our trains and cause mass-scale public damage, not just damage to public property, but also cause of life and limb. Kanpur police are probing all angles. That's the news coming through. Terror angle cannot be ruled out, but the job has been done by an unprofessional. Let's go across to the Commissioner of Kanpur Police, who's with us on the phone line. I'm given to understand Akhil Kumarji is with us. Akhilji, namaste. This is Anand Narasimhan here. Thank you for speaking with us. Your first assessment of what's happened in Kanpur.
Good evening, Anandji. Yesterday this incident has happened and we have taken it very seriously. An FIR has been lodged immediately, and a team consisting of local police, intelligence, and in coordination with sister agencies of UP Police, we are working sincerely to work out the case, and we are looking into all possible angles. We have collected evidences from the spot, and based on the evidences and the clues, we are trying to ascertain who is the person behind this, and we're trying to make progress in our investigation. Hopefully soon we'll able to nab the culprits.
I'm given to understand that this is the first that the Explosives Act has been invoked in this matter.
Since the cylinder was used, the Explosive Act has been also incorporated in the FIR.
But was this an attempt to try and perhaps an amateurish attempt to try and cause a cylinder-based explosion?
So primarily it looks like, but as I said, nothing can be ruled out at this stage. Our primary focus is to identify the culprit, whosoever is behind this incident, and we are taking it very seriously. Our teams are working on it, and once we are able to identify and catch the culprit, we will be able to get to know what is his larger objective and modus operandi.
Is this a group or a lone wolf?
It can't be certain at this stage. It's very premature to say anything on this aspect.
There is a terror angle. Could this be ISIS-inspired, Akhilji, or some other radical organization?
See, as I told you, we can't rule out anything. We are looking at all possibilities. Our priority is to identify this guy in whatever ways, and we are making all possible efforts.
Do you believe it is part of a pattern to try and derail our growth story and also, in a way, damage public property, cause loss of life and limb? We had comments of some radicals across the border trying to incite and suggest that this is one possible way of hurting Bharat?
I mean, the best way to people, organizations, we are looking into the larger picture. I am currently focusing on this particular incident, and hopefully we'll be able to work it out, and we'll inform the agencies who are working on this, and they will be able to give a larger picture on this incident or related incidents.
How close are you to identify the suspect? Is there any witness or any clue that's come to the fore?
So
My final question.
we are working on a positive direction. We have certain clues. We are working on that, and we are making all sincere effort to move to make particular arrests and to identify this culprit.
Akhil Kumarji, thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anandji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste. Let's go straight across to Maruf Raza, defense analyst, Sushant Sareen, senior fellow ORF with us. Namaste, Jai Hind, gentlemen. This is a pattern, Maruf Raza, and I'm sure you would have noted it. It started about 3-4 months ago, and it just seems to have become intense. And in this belt,
sorry, what's your question?
so I'm asking you, is this a pattern? Would you agree to it that there is a pattern to this, and this is deliberate attempt at sabotage?
See, the fact that explosives, putting it on rail lines, putting, things to derail the trains, these are all old tricks. The point, as far as I see it, is who is behind it to try and put India on the back foot with these kind of activities. And any explosive on a rail track with a fast-moving train would lead to lots of damage and mayhem. Now, why is this happening in India now, and why are people doing it? It's because perhaps our enemies do not like to see India's success story to continue, and they would like to upset the India story. Now, what I see is a problem is that we need to have more elements involved with internal security and monitoring the roads and rail tracks, because internal security is a vast subject, and left only to the police forces of the district or the state is expecting too much from them. What needs to be done is there has to be the use of newer technologies to be adopted to alert us and to monitor such kind of adversities. And that is something that needs to be done in an urgent manner. Second thing is that we need to have enough people on the ground to have feet that can match and monitor the activity of the problem makers. And there we are not short of manpower, but we are short of ideas, we are short of initiatives, and we are short of equipment to make sure that such things don't continue as a matter of course, but we nip them in the bud very, very clearly and very quickly.
Sushant Sareen, agree, disagree? But and how much of our roads and railways can we actually patrol when we don't have enough to even patrol our international borders? So internal security, how do we do this? And especially at a time when there are YouTubers who are making a life out of trying to show how to put objects on the railway tracks and go viral with those kind of videos. And that person also hailed from this region only.
Yeah, if there are those YouTubers, you should get hold of them and, give them the treatment which they deserve. And I don't see any reason why that should be allowed to go, these guys should be allowed to go scot-free. I don't disagree with anything Maruf has said. My only question, however, will be to the national security establishment that, why are we waking up because these incidents have happened in the last 2-3 months? We've been facing terrorism for over 30 years now, 40 years actually. So I think we should have already started putting in place SOPs for these kind of things. Now, as far as the railways are concerned, in the railways in most parts of the country, there is a system whereby there are people who are examining the rails, they are walking alongside it, they're examining the rails, but you can't, how long does it take for somebody to come and put something on the rail track just a few minutes or maybe 10 minutes before a train is to arrive, and just leave it out there and then just disappear? It doesn't take very long. The thing is that so far, at least, most of these attempts have been pretty amateurish. They've tried to open up the fish plates. They've tried to do some rail fractures. They've tried to do stuff like that. And thankfully, so far, there haven't been any mass casualty incidents. But I think it's just a matter of time before we have an incident like that. And maybe that is the time when everybody will start waking up for a couple of days, make a big hoo-ha about it, and then go back to sleep, which is what we normally do. But here is the thing, that these are people who obviously either they are just doing it for the lark, for the fun, to see what happens. Maybe there'll be an explosion. Maybe they think that it is not something which is going to cause a major incident. Or it could be some person who is radicalized, who thinks that by doing something like this, they will be able to put up a show. But quite clearly, these are not well-trained people. These are not people who know how to handle explosives or how to rig up IEDs or how to do stuff like that. Again, that's not rocket science. It doesn't take much to learn stuff like that, or for somebody to come and give instructions to do something like that. Which is why, as Maruf is saying, what is happening with your local level intelligence? What is happening with your beat guys? Are they able to keep a look out on what the buzz in a particular area is, what the vibe in a particular area is? Are they even looking at that, or are they simply ignoring something like that, and it's only after an incident that they start waking up and start doing stuff?
Right.
Or until and unless you get somebody on your radar screens because of tech int, that you start pursuing a lead. I think rather than that, and I suppose that is exactly what Maruf is also suggesting, you should have people on the ground, somebody with an ear to the ground, somebody who's listening to what is the kind of conversations which are going on, what is the kind of stuff which is happening in local areas, and then trying to piece the whole thing together to make a picture of what might transpire. So yes, we are going to be living in even worse times than what we are living in right now. The threats are only, they are not reducing. The technologies of terrorists, the technologies available to terrorists are becoming more accessible than what they have been. And until your security agencies, they rise up to the task and they stay a couple of steps ahead, you just keep your fingers crossed that you're not in a train or a plane or on the road when something like this happens. That's all you can wish for.
Well, the other thing is that are they also saying that we have to cause damage? We don't need to need for it to be sophisticated. We just need individual agents, individuals who are perhaps radicalized, influenced, disgruntled, however it is, and they create instances like this across the country. 5 instances is far greater damage than a series of terror attacks, and it just gets the objective because it creates a sense of panic, fear. People will stop traveling on trains, and then again there'll be huge brouhaha. It will lead and it'll have a domino effect somewhere. These are all thoughts. This is all building up to a greater strategy of orchestrating social strife, create a huge amount of social, I don't want to say the word anarchy, but that's what comes to my mind. Maruf, final comment before we move to Manipur. Yeah.
See, Anand, Sushant has put a lot of points ahead, and they're all correct. The point at issue is that a thumb rule of P is always to be followed. That is prepare, preempt, and prevent. And we have to be doing it all the time. It doesn't mean because it's not happened in the last few weeks, it's not going to happen. It's going to keep coming on us, and we have to continue to be able to respond to every situation, because we are a country which is constantly under threat. We are surrounded by neighbors who are very happy to create mayhem in our setup. And I'm sorry to say that our intelligence agencies and our officials, security officials, they are not exactly on the go as far as dealing with threats, because dealing with threats is an everyday affair.
Yes.
You can't wait for a bomb blast to happen and for the alarm signals to go out. Okay, let's get going. We have to be constantly ready to block every effort that comes our way. And there are simple rules. What are the vulnerable targets? How do you protect them? What forces level do you need? You don't need massive armored car and tank columns to prevent every
Yes.
crisis. You need basically just your forces need to be trained and alert. And communication between all of them should be very high. And therefore, anything that is unusual cited. The problem is that the police and the security forces are very tired and exhausted. And therefore, they are not going to go an extra step forward to try and close the loop.
I think two, three aspects that you've spoken about, and both of you have spoken about, is true. That we need focus on internal security. The three P's are preempt, prevent, and protect. The other aspect is, do we have enough people on ground between intelligence agencies, police, and all of them? Are there enough? We don't. So that's the reason why they are stretched, and there is no creative thinking that's happening. And most importantly, it's not integrated, sir. Everybody is not talking to everybody, and everybody is not listening to everybody. Unless it's integrated,
Yeah.
there will be issues where you will have isolated pockets or weekends, and the chain is only as strong as the weakest link.